So Blue Fox 231 asked, normal questing or skip quest and just level. What do you prefer? Personally, I prefer to grind and come back for quests later. I think it's generally faster to complete the quests, and it's pretty easy to grind. Kasumi asked, what are the number one things you see people saying on the Dom forums that are downright wrong and stupid? AKA which threads need to stop and just die.
Oh boy.
Did I drop some names there?
No.
That's a difficult question to answer because everyone has their own opinion about what the game should be and what should be, or what's good for the game rather. And so it's hard for me to say that someone else's opinion is stupid, but in my opinion, a few things such as mega server, like introducing a mega server, enabling player-to-player trading, those are some things that I think are really bad for the game. And that's just an opinion, so. I don't know how Reckless and Musi feel about it.
Well, I think there's lots of such threads. I also find right now there is quite a few threads asking for non-immersion breaking customs and stuff like that. I don't know. I think the game has other issues right now than such trivial things. However, from a business point, looking at it, it's just sometimes the players don't even actually know what they want, and they need to be shown what they want. So
that's
there's
definitely
just
true.
too many threads asking for stuff. Sometimes you could feel like, oh, people, they're too entitled, but sometimes they're right too. But in my personal opinion, I think the mega server would also be not as good as people make it out to be. Well, at least when I was asking my Korean guild members, they were like, well, the mega server is good and bad. As in, well, it's good because we can farm more, but it's not good enough. We'd like to have even more channels because the channels are always full. But it's bad for world PvP, which is kind of one of the main points against the mega server, I suppose.
I think
But yeah.
that I think that balancing the karma would make smaller channels better because it would introduce more PvP in open world. Like right now in Korea, the big problem is that with only one server and a bunch of channels and really penalizing karma, it becomes an issue because you can't really push someone out of your grind spot. So someone can come into the mobs you're killing and take them, and you can't do anything about it. But if karma was better, then less channels would be okay because you could always push, some guy out of your grind spot if they're stealing your mobs. Camp John. Look good.
Continue.
Camp John asked, how long on average does it take you to get to level 30? On Korea, an hour, maybe.
Yeah, that's when you're slacking off. Well, okay, of course, it depends if you have gear from a main character or not. But I'd say, as a new character, an hour and a half, yeah, that sounds about right.
Cashin asked, what do you think about no media versus media during launch in consideration with Dom's desire for everyone to catch up before releasing Sieges?
I'll take a shot at that. Cashin, I think it's fine, especially for a lot of the new people that will be coming into the game, to absorb all the knowledge in this game in terms of just learning the game mechanics and what to do and how to make money and how to enchant your gear. Uh, a no meta at the start is fine because it's going to take players, at least 2 months to get their gear up to where they can expand out to the new content. The game is all about if your gear's not up to par with your current grinding spot, you're not going to kill fast enough. You're going to take too much damage. So that span, I think Russia just released their meta about a couple days ago, and that gave them 8 weeks to get their gear up to something that was efficient to do meta. So if it was released any sooner, a lot of the newer players would be way behind, and then the more experienced players would be way ahead, and they would constantly be catching up. So I think the time span with just the locked content as of right now would be fine.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'll totally agree on that one too, especially considering if we would get media instantly, it would just widen the gap between veterans and new players, especially because Black Desert, in terms of all of its systems and how it works, it's just so in depth compared to a lot of other games. I mean, even AAA single player games are not as in depth as Black Desert with some of its systems. So the time to get the knowledge, as Reckless said, about all of this stuff should really be an appropriate time span, just so everybody can get a feel for the game.
Agreed.
I think that's a question for you, Reckless. Kashin asks, did the Russian version get sieges with media, or did they get it before it?
And Blue Fox 231, uh, we can't really say that the systems will be completely different from their counterparts as of RUKR in Japan, just because that would take a lot of work and effort to completely revamp stuff. So what they'll probably do, honestly, or in my opinion, is slightly edit it or alter it to our region and what we're asking for the community. So take RU as an example. They are more PvP centered players, and we're calling for better PvP flag karma system. So they reduce the amount of negative karma gained from killing a player from negative 200,000 karma.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's like typical MMO business. Tweak numbers for regions, and that's about it usually.
I will say I partially disagree because I think that they are making an effort to produce content for NA that they're releasing in Korea first. Like, for example, instancing the Crimson Battleground and adding a betting system to GVGs. Those seem like things that people have been requesting from NA.
That's true. I mean, go on, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I can't read Korean. All I was going to say is I can't read Korean, so I don't know exactly what the Koreans have been suggesting. But those are things that NA players have been suggesting.
Well, that's true. I mean, also a lot of changes we had suggested after the first alpha we had for our version, right, got implemented into the Korean client rather quickly. Stuff like turning off character glows, turning off the auto-walk tracking arrows, and all those bad immersion breaking things. They also fixed the lanterns. which was specifically a request from our side. I'm pretty sure the Koreans don't really care about lanterns.
Adding the walk
So,
animation is another example.
right, exactly. So there is a certain incentive from them to do stuff like that.
Cashin asked, did RU get sieges with Media, or did they get it before? I actually don't know. Reckless, do you know the answer to that? I think Reckless went AFK. I do not know the answer to that question.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, they got Media Interblader class, right? But that's all I know right now.
So Russia actually had node sieges prior to Media or Node War. I'm still not sure about the castle siege though.
All right, I disconnected there. I guess no one heard anything I said, huh?
Nope.
Yep. You were asked if you know if the Russians already have the castle sieges right now.
I've not heard anything about castle sieges nor read patch notes for it. I just know they had node sieges already, though. That's about it. Just the release of Media and Bladers. I was actually answering a question for someone stating to the question about changing systems from Blue Fox. But
Yeah, I
I'm not
think
sure if
that
you guys
got
covered
through
it.
though.
Okay.
So Cashin wants to know what are our thoughts on Valencia Part 2 and how it should be implemented in NA, since our PvP system outside of this region will be different from Korea's. Well,
I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. When we used to discuss these things, speculating what Valencia really was going to be, if you follow the lore, I'm not sure if anyone has stuck to the story or the backstory of the game, but I remember being a big nerd when the game was prior to releasing. Uh, it talked about the lore, and there was someone that actually translated it and talked about the background of Valencia in the desert. And back in the desert was where the original power and the discovery of black stones and the power of the black stones for people's army made them that much stronger. So I think the lore went something like there was a bunch of different factions that were trying to fight for control of the desert due to the power of the black stones creating, enhancing the power of their armies. So we all speculate that when the desert came, it would be a free for all, high risk, high reward kind of system. Anyone can PvP you or kill you, and there'll be really good reasons to be out in the desert in terms of money, stones. So I think this Valencia Part 2 is something that needed to be there. Needed to be there. Very excited for it.
yeah, I do agree there. I mean, we speculated that it would be some.
Oh, music just disconnected. Lost connection there. So Valencia Part 2 is also adding the ability for guilds to build and protect their buildings, which is a pretty big deal. Because right now guilds don't really have any quote unquote ownership of land besides territories, which is something that's completely unmanaged and kind of out of your control except for defending or taking. I think this is a big change for the game that's going to introduce some new dynamics. Kind of exciting to see.
Um, Kasumi, I think that's your name. They asked, if you're getting PK'd all the time in a spot, what can you do about it? Let them kill you until they can't anymore because they're red name. They also initiated a system, at least in the patch notes, talking about a bounty hunter system. So, from the rough translations we got, it seems that if someone is red or trying to PK another player and someone intervenes and protects that player and kills that other player, they get a bounty hunter token, promoting people to actually look out for each other. Or you may have a guild that are bandits, and you may have a guild that are bounty hunters. So it would make a balanced system of good guys versus bad guys. So saying you'll get PK'd all the time. Sometimes if you go to a really high, a very rewarding farm spot, and a group of players is holding it down, chances are, yes, you will be PK'd, and chances are you may have to look for a new spot to grind. So, but they already thought about this process and put things into play to prevent people just getting killed all the time. So, I think it'll balance itself out.
So currently in Korea, like that's coming out with the new Valencia Part 2. But currently in Korea, I think the best strategy is to have someone help you. Like if you're extremely outgeared by someone that's PKing you, you either get someone to help you kill them, or you can switch channels, and that's kind of where the game is at right now. You can always avoid being PK'd in Korea. It's pretty easy to avoid it.
But I also like what they're doing with the desert, making it a risk. I really think it's going to be the balance of high risk, high reward. And what this game needed was to push more party play mechanics. And I think the desert is going to be a perfect opportunity for this, because it's saying it is scary out there. You may get killed. So what's going to make people safe? Safety in numbers. So people are going to start roaming around in groups of 5 now, opposed to just solo players, which is, I think, a step in the right direction of what the game needed as a whole. With the implementations of these dungeons that are being coming in, it even translates in the notes as saying you will need your friends, gather your friends or your guild to go do these things, because they're tougher than normal averaged mobs that you can kill by yourself. So this whole theme is group play, travel in numbers, safety, and I think it's just going to promote a lot more fun, dynamic PvP, as well as just more group intended content, without actually forcing people. Well, it is kind of forcing people. You still have the option of probably going it solo, but it's just better off if you do it together.
So Jenza asked, I played on the open beta test / launch of BDO KR. However, I stopped playing 8 months ago. Have they made any updates to housing workers crafting system since launch? Not really. It's pretty much the same.
Well, I mean, you can tell your workers to go and do your gardens now, I suppose. And you can literally tell them to go to school to take a test and may upgrade to another kind of color, like, blue or yellow. But that's about it.
Yeah, the crafting system is pretty much the same as it was.
Well, however, we did get like the simple alchemy and simple cooking at some point.
They have, that is true, they have added a couple new crafts, but nothing really all that special, to be honest.
Besides the trinkets from alchemy. I mean,
oh yeah, that's
those
true.
are a pretty big deal.
That is true. That's very true. Sig Chicken asked, what's happening with the elephants in the upcoming update? Will everyone be able to raise their own elephant, or are they still restricted to guilds? I am not sure what the answer to this is, but if I had to speculate, I would say it's still going to be a guild restricted mount. I don't know if anyone else knows.
I'm not sure. I mean, the article about it let it sound like everybody would be able to get one, but maybe it will just be like a smaller version, not like the big war elephant for 3 people. So we'll see. But hey, maybe we get elephant races.
Najile, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce your name. Sorry if I got it wrong. Asked, as Aryu should have Zaka now as the mechanic where you hide behind a pillar gun. If that would be the case, wouldn't it dumb down even further? It is not gone. You still have to hide behind the pillar when he does his big one-shot attack. Yeah.
Devore made a good statement. They did change the upgrading part for armors and weapons by you can upgrade the quality in one shot with the new implementation of these crystal or gem things you can buy from the auction house. I think you could probably craft it somehow. I haven't experimented with it. I did just buy it straight off the auction house, and I was able to one shot my quality from green to gold straight away in one craft. So that was an improvement to take out the RNG with it.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good improvement, to be honest. Considering like my chest took like what 70 attempts or something like that.
Yep. It was definitely a pain.
So Kasumi wants to know, what westernizations do we think Daum needs to do to make it appeal to the target audience? Well, that's kind of a tough question, because usually westernizations are not really that good for Korean ports. But I'd say some stuff to the enchantment system would be greatly appreciated. Or the gear creep, especially the gear creep.
If anyone wants to see Straits do something in game, just let him know. And that can include classes or really whatever. Just let him know what you want to see and he will show you. Damas, a thing I'm missing is if I create a clan with an X name, can someone make a guild with the X name I chose for the clan, or is it linked to the original clan and no one can take it? I'm pretty sure it is linked to the original clan, so clans and guilds all share the same name, or rather, share the same database. So you cannot have duplicate clan and guild names. Najile asked, wasn't Zaka relocated to the lake for RU? Thought that would lead to such thing. I actually don't know. Reckless, have you done Zaka on RU?
No. When I was playing there just a few days ago, I don't think it was implemented still.
Gotcha.
I could ask around though.
Yeah, I'm not sure the answer to that question. John's asked if they have increased party sizes yet. No, they have not. Still limited to 5.
Let's
Uh,
see. Kasumi wants to know what's the best resources for learning more about the gameplay, as in guides, maps, and stuff like that.
I'd say the
Well,
best.
there is.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go on.
I was just gonna say
Um,
the best resource that I know of in terms of the Korean version is definitely Invin, because it has the most knowledge, and if you can deal with the Korean translation, then it's a good resource to have. If you can't deal with the translation, Videotome probably provides the best map by far, and there's a Russian website that has a really accurate build calculator.
we're talking about Formica, right? Or do you mean like videobase.ru? I'm not sure
Uh,
anymore.
I meant form. Get a link.
I think
Oh,
Straits just linked
yeah, he
something.
just did. He did. There you go. In terms of knowledge, just general knowledge about the game, you can also go through like Reddit and look through the Black Desert Reddit, like the old Reddit. There's a lot of information there, and there's some really good answer threads. There's
Yeah, I
also a
suppose so.
there's also a BDO database that was posted on official website.
John Stormlord asks, would you rather the game be published by someone like NCSoft? Huh, tough question. Because as far as we know, Perlabis could not find a good publisher for their game in the West. And I'm pretty sure there were quite a few companies trying to get a license for it. But I'm actually rather pretty happy that it's basically in-house done by Daum, simply because that shortens the communication gap between developer and publishing company. Lots of Korean ports, they suffer greatly from this, and therefore content updates and westernization also may get screwed over, aka, censoring and stuff like that for the story and the lore, because the publishing company thinks it doesn't really fit with our audience and stuff like that.
I personally am pretty pleased with Dom. I think they've done a good job showing that they're willing to take feedback and make changes. Um, it's hard to answer that question until we see what it's like at release. But I'll leave it there.
User disconnected again.
Okay. Kasumi asked, what are some things people overlook as unnecessary but are actually critical and time saving? Example, macros, iframes, etc. That's a tough question.
There's a lot of hidden things to the game in terms of every character or every class. There's a lot of very subtle things, differences to characters that can make you play a lot better. Like take your iframes into example. If you know exactly the timing of your iframe, you can use that to your advantage. there's a bunch of skill canceling, which will let you throw a skill, cancel out of it, but still have that skill hit an enemy or a player, and you can go off into another skill and cancel out of that one. So quick succession, muscle memory, and reflexes, and just learning your character like fully inside and out is extremely critical, I think, to a higher end skilled player.
Something that I kind of took for granted when I first started playing was training, like leveling stamina, strength, and health. It's actually pretty good. And you can level your health by eating food, and your strength by putting a like trade pack on your back and walking back and forth. And leveling your health increases your health. Leveling your stamina or your strength increases the amount of weight you can carry. Those things actually are really helpful. So it's a good thing to knock out as fast as possible.
Yeah, that stuff really helps min max your character. You may get extra. For a Sork example, if I have maxed out stamina, I may have like two extra teleports than I normally would with like a level 1 or a fresh 50 Sork. Just do those little things when you're AFK or throughout your day, the course of the day you're playing. Make sure you're always constantly eating food. If you're going AFK, put your character on auto path. Have it either carry a pack or just run around. All that stuff helps in the end, like Horse said.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on the phone and sometimes Discord disconnects me. So sorry for that, I suppose.
No worries. Undead Ship asked, what monsters are the best to get S rank with ASAP? So when NA releases, I guess the biggest things would be the skeletons, which are in southern Calpheon. And anything that you're really gonna be grinding heavily that has rare drops, that's generally the way to go.
So basically the ogre.
Right.
Yeah, good.
Ogres, Mancha Forest, skeletons, abandoned monastery. Those are the big places where you want to get S rank on monsters.
Yeah, right. Shadow Knights for the Shadow Mark ring. True story.
Most definitely.
Yeah, Kashin, you want a S rank to grind the ogre.
I never said it would be easy though. Getting that knowledge can be very time consuming.
Well, that's true. I mean, I've reset the ogre knowledge for about 60 or 70 times now and still haven't gotten S rank. But RNG will be RNG, I suppose.
Yep.
Kasumi asking about. Please talk a bit about the major benefits of a guild. Okay. This game, from other games I've seen, does a great job of promoting guild play, finding a group of people you really want to play with, and sticking with it and working for it. You have retribution points in the game that you will acquire by doing or helping out with guild quests, by leveling up characters. Every time you level, it's kind of adding more points to your family name or account. So with this, every time you guys do guild quests, you start building an XP bar, and you can start leveling up and acquire guild points that then the guild master can in turn buy passive skills for your guild, which will affect every single player in the guild. You have HP increases, you have attack increase, you have accuracy increase, and I think you have damage reduction increase, opposed to and there's more things like gathering speed, fishing speed, traveling speed, or trade, resistances to siege weaponry coming during sieging. There's other things in terms of another skill you can apply to some of your newer fresh players, where you can protect them for a few days where they can't be attacked if you do have a guild war up. Also, doing guild missions builds your guild funds, and in return makes your guild richer. And then after that, every time you contribute to doing more guild quests, you can raise your own paycheck. So actually promoting guild play and doing things for the guild also enhances your paycheck. So you're going to get paid more every day. The more you do with the guild or for the guild, you're going to get paid and benefit from it directly.
BDO definitely has a system where you help your guild and it helps you back. So as Reckless was saying, the more you contribute to helping with guild missions, PvPing at sieges, PvPing at GGs, all that stuff directly gets returned to you in the form of guild contribution. And the amount of money that you can be paid every day through your contract is based on your guild contribution. Now, a guild leader or officer can assign like how much you can get paid, but the max is always raised. Another thing is, if your guild is successful at capturing territories, specifically castles, you get the entire guild gets a payout. I think it's 30% of the winnings gets paid out to the guild. And that is actually required. It's not optional. Brother, I should say it's 30% paid out to the guild, but it's divided amongst the members. Sick Chicken asks, do you think gear with plus 16 should be set at a more expensive price on the auction house? At the moment, you're better off buying it rather than upgrading it yourself. So I would disagree with that last statement. I've been pretty successful upgrading my equipment, and I think the main thing is that you enchant appropriately. And what I mean by that is that you use trash items to build stacks so that you're failing less on your gear that's expensive to repair. And that's something that's really important, especially when you get to like boss items, boss armor, anything that takes fragments to repair rather than a duplicate item. That being said,
which makes sense.
However, that being said, if you're unlucky with enchanting, it generally is cheaper to buy it off the auction house. but it kind of depends on your strategies and I guess if you're willing to wait for it to be listed.
Well, personally, I think no prices should be set on the auction house, either maximum nor minimum. Just let it be a free auction house. If you're better off buying or enchanting, that's up to you. But setting prices by the development company, I don't know, it's new to me and I don't really like it. But that's just my opinion, I suppose.
So this is something that me and Mizu actually disagree about. Mainly because, like, for example, boss armor and weapons would go crazy. I can't even imagine what their prices would be if there wasn't a set price. Now, granted, because the price is set, they're really hard to get off the auction house because everyone can afford them for the most part, at least everyone that's, you know, reasonably geared or geared enough to be wanting that item. So it's kind of a catch-22. I don't know.
Well, I would agree on that. It's just a double-edged sword, basically.
Yeah.
The war has an interesting question. Would you like to see a system that allows clans to fight against other clans?
Absolutely.
That would be cool, actually. It's basically like the warm-up session for GVGs and Siege Wars. Sure, why not? Sounds like fun.
I think the moment that you're in a group, you should be able to fight against another group. Even if you're a clan and want to fight against a guild, I think that should be implemented.
That would actually be kind of really nice system if it would be like also, you know, rather cheap compared to what GVGs cost you right now in terms of upkeep. To get into this whole kind of thing.
I mean, on that subject, I really do hope they reevaluate the price of GGs and upkeep, especially for the start of the game. I think that Mizu dropped again, but I think that the price on Korea is very unrealistic for the launch of BDO.
For what, like cash up stuff? I'm sorry.
No, for declaring and maintaining a war.
Yeah. Originally, it was set to only 100K to declare war, and that war was permanently in place until that guild that declared war decided to stop. Uh, and the new development of the system currently was, quote, from poor translations, to protect smaller guilds and small groups of players from being picked on by larger ones. But in the same time, the larger guilds already had so much guild funds that they could do whatever they please, and their actual system didn't really solve the problem that they were trying to protect of the smaller guilds, just due to like the large guild funds these guilds already had. So I think the older system worked a little bit more better because it promoted smaller groups of players to succeed and actually have fun. Where the game's fun to me is the PvP. There's nothing more intense than BDO PvP. Uh, us as a smaller guild of 5 people originally as Aeon, when these changes were put into play, we got hit heavily. Not many of us wanted to keep the upkeep of the funds and the guild quests. We just wanted a PvP, have fun, and when that was taken out, we kind of were like, yeah, why bother? And we kind of got a little unmotivated. But I do agree that the pricing for the tax to upkeep of a war should be declined majorly because, like you said, 1 mil in the start is that's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially for a guild that's starting out. Um, it's a pretty
Well,
heavy
that's
price tag.
true. And my Discord doesn't like me today, but I do agree. I mean, it's not even that we got not motivated to do guild quests. It was more like we were busy doing more guild quests than actually warring people.
Yeah.
So we're like doing 2 to 3 hours just to upkeep another hour of GVG. It was kind of retarded, to be honest.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, on paper, it sounds like they were doing the proper thing to protect smaller guilds, but then, you know, some things from concept on paper to actually implementing something, they just don't work. And I think this is one of those systems that they should have reevaluated like a month later, maybe, and seen where it was at and see where the players' thoughts were at, because I feel like it didn't really protect the smaller guilds. It actually hurt smaller guilds because then you needed an active group of like 40 plus members and, you know, doing guild quests throughout the day. Otherwise, a smaller group of player, like you said, Mizu, will be spending more time doing guild quests opposed to actually progressing your own character in terms of leveling or farming. So I really
Exactly.
believe they need to make it easier, like Devore was saying, for smaller groups of players. Like we need we need something there. You know, a large portion of MMO communities in within the game are smaller groups of players or smaller groups of friends that play together that don't want to be part of a bigger guild or have the responsibilities of upkeep and managing, you know, 40, 50 plus people. You know, that becomes tiresome and, you know, it's not for everyone. So I think we do for the Western EU NA releases need to voice our opinions in the community and say, hey, you know, these are some, these are some problems or issues we think that could happen for smaller groups of players. And we want to promote this game for everyone, from the solo players to the small band of friends that have been playing for years to the larger guilds that are, you know, dominating PvP and castle sieges. So I hope we can get things to be looked at to reevaluate that and see if we can alter it for our release.
Definitely. Undead Ship asked, the $100 pre-order, how far ahead does it get you with tier 5 horse and pet and other items? Is it worth it to you? Personally, for me, it is worth it. For me, it's mainly worth it for the head start, although the tier 5 horse is definitely a contender. And I like the costume, so you know it's worth it for me. I don't know how Mizu and Reckless feel about it.
Well, personally, I'd say the tier 5 horse, it's nice to have. But really, the biggest thing that makes the whole pack is the 4-day head start, especially for people that really do want to be competitive and or have already played other versions. This is like the biggest advantage you can get from any pre-order package. 4 days head start in this game is huge. I mean, maybe not if we get a very, very heavy leveling curve, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But if everything seems to stay like in alpha, plus or minus, the head start is definitely the selling point for this package, and everything else is more like, yeah, it's kind of nice to get it, but I'll just buy it for the head start, basically.
I definitely agree. The 4 day head start is for anyone that's actually played the RU or Korean or Japan versions of these games. Understand that a 4 day head start in this game, at least competitive, if you want to, you know, be the first, is a huge thing. But it's not going to hurt the newer players that are actually getting into the game, that are going to be playing it for the first time, and want to experience the whole thing. When I first started this back in closed beta 3, there was so much for me to do. It was a little bit overwhelming because you're just thrown into this huge world and there's so much to do compared to other games. And this is on par to, at the time I played Witcher and Witcher 3, and it reminded me a lot of Black Desert. It was just a lot of stuff to do, and it feels good to you. So for new players just coming in, don't worry about the 4-day head start. I don't believe it'll hurt you. If you do decide to get it, you're going to have 4 days of figuring out the game. That's great, but I don't think it's something that's going to hurt you. Veteran players are more going to be, I want to do this first. I want to be there first. So for us, it's a little different, but overall, I think it's a good selling point to do if you're a veteran player and want to get to it first.
I mean, as you were saying, for new players, the best bang for the buck would be the $50 package, I suppose. I mean, you do get a weapon skin with that, if I remember correctly, and some stuff that is also cash shop related. So if you're just starting out and never played the game, and you feel like it's a good thing to pay an average price for a buy-to-play game, the $50 package is definitely the best bang for your buck. And if you feel just like, I just wanna see what's it all about, go with the cheapest one. Or better, let a friend of yours who really wants to play the game just give you his, what's it called, guest pass, so you can try it out 7 days for free.
Yeah, definitely. This game definitely isn't for everyone, so yeah. I guess it depends on you.
Yeah, it's definitely worth everyone to try the game because I think what Black Desert is doing is it's being different. It's being its own thing, and if you've played MMOs in the last 5 years, it's gotten a little stale. Everything's just kind of a clone or copy with a new reskin. You have the same things day in day out. This game offers a little bit more, like back in the day when I was heavy into fishing and going out into the ocean with Kinto, we would find islands and go exploring, and there's just so much to do to the game that if you want to play it casually and explore, or cook, or farm, or it offers all that, and it feels refreshing. Like I have not been much of a crafter or explorer or doing anything besides PvP, but in this game it felt good and rewarding. Everything was profitable. You could make a lot of money just by cooking or farming or fishing. So it offers all that stuff opposed to just straight grinding or doing quests or PvP. So I think the game does a good job of offering something new to a stale market currently. And that's just my thoughts on it.
No, I agree on that. It's definitely a very well made fresh breath of air in the whole stale genre. And it looks pretty amazing compared to any other MMO out there right now. It's just mind-blowing how it looks.
I think that's something that everyone can agree on. That BDO definitely has the best graphics of any MMO that's released to date.
Indeed. John Stormlord asks, does community feedback actually matter? In ArcheAge, they basically didn't listen to shit but the sound of money raking up. They actually do. It's kind of surprising. We had a lot of feedback going out from the alpha test that we had earlier, and they already started implementing things. Like we said earlier, lots of things that are actually asked from the RP community, usually the smallest minority in every game. They got the developers to get us some walking animations and some other functions that the client actually desperately needed, which was feedback from us. Like, there's some overlay effects on characters that glow, so you know it's a guild member, a group member, or an enemy. They just glow in colors, and it looks rather retarded. So we were asking to get an option to turn it off, and we actually got it. So
Rewards for
they're
GVG.
actually,
This one as
yep,
well.
that too. Rewards for GVG was also a thing. So they're definitely listening,
Well, we can't
which
forget
is
the most
kind of
important thing:
surprising.
darker original CBT Knights.
Oh,
That
yeah,
is true.
absolutely.
That is
I'm
true.
not an RPer, but I have to say when I played the CBTs, the thing that really stood out is how atmospheric the game is. It rains, your character's wet, the rocks are wet, the puddles start to develop on the ground. If you're out in Catfish, the water rises. Like this is something that one of our guild members discovered or pointed out. I never noticed it. I just went there, went zombie mode, didn't think about it. But everywhere I go, aesthetically, this game is the most, even compared to say like Witcher 3, where it's just a single player game, so they can go heavy with polygon count and effects and all this stuff. This game has all that, and it's a massive multiplayer online game. Like it's beautiful. And sorry
Yeah,
for my
that's
bird,
true. It's fine. But
but
I do agree, especially the Knights. I mean, if Black Desert definitely pulls out everything, then it's in terms of atmosphere and immersion. Like, really, compared to a lot of other games. And that they got back to the Darker Knights, which we were asking for, is truly amazing. Because the Knights right now, they don't really feel like nights, more like early evenings. And I do like Darker Knights. That means you can be a real ninja again and hide and backstab people.
yeah, one of the things that sold me on the Darker Knights, and if anyone played back in the CBTs or watched the old trailers, they had a group of players approaching a castle that were kind of crouched, and when you crouch, it hides your name and it hides your guild tag. Now, back in those days, they didn't have an implementation of like a glowing system. If someone was an enemy of yours, you glow red, which would take out the entirety of having a stealth system like that. So they have lanterns in game, but we didn't have Dark Knights after OBT started, so it was just kind of counterproductive. But now that they're bringing it back, there's going to be literally a real reason to have that lantern on you because it's going to be so dark. You're not going to be able to see, more than 5 feet in front of you.
And you know
So,
what's kind of interesting?
hmm,
Just to chip in, you actually need to turn on again on the settings to show other people's lanterns too.
oh, well, and he disconnected. So yeah, Darker Knights. So in short, John, yes, the community feedback is directly affecting the Western EU NA releases of this game, and I would definitely suggest for any viewers here that have suggestions or want to chip in the community, I would say go over there, read the forums, look what's there or what polls are being there, because these things are actually taken seriously by the developers and the community managers that are staying in contact with us and seeing what we want. So put all those bad experiences with any other company out there out of your head and voice your opinions. Do a little homework in terms of research, just so you're not getting some misinformation from other sites or just little things that are misconstrued. Weigh your thoughts. It's actually helping the game. Where I think the Western release of the game is going to be entirely like a new feeling to Black Desert, which is a good thing. It's going to benefit all of us.
So Reaper asked, how does the die system work in the game? Actually, Straits, if you want to show it off, that would be awesome, and I can narrate as you're going. So essentially, dies are acquired either through mileage, which you get mileage every day just for logging in, or you can buy dyes off the cash shop. Dyes can be applied to gear in any number of ways. Each kind of piece of armor could take like 4 or 5 up to, I think the most I've seen is like 10 dyes that dye different parts of the gear. And yeah. Stream's a little bit behind where I am, so I'll wait for it to catch up. But so what you're looking at now is or what you looked at just a second ago is the dye palette, and there's literally tons of dyes in the game. There's so many colors to choose from. It's crazy. What's even better is that you can mix 2 colors together to get a different color. So if you're unhappy with the colors that you get, you can, make a different color out of them, and hopefully it's something that you like better. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay, we're just talking about dyes. I think one thing that I would really like to see is the ability to craft dyes in game, because currently that's not something that's possible. It'd be really nice to, go out, like pick some red flowers or something and make a red dye out of it, or have some kind of action associated with acquiring the color of dye that you want.
And I mean, the entire system's there for that to be quickly implemented. Like, there's red berries that you get a lot from farming or something, or when
Definitely.
You're farming, all they have to do is slightly tweak that and be like, oh, by the way, if you use this new production thing, it can extract the color or the hue from that berry, and then you could use it for dyes. It's something that it just added a little more to the game and creates its own market.
My biggest complaint with the dye system is that when you use a dye, it's done forever. Like, you have to, like, if I wanted to dye my entire set of armor white, I would have to acquire so many white dyes. It would be out of control. So it'd be nice to have kind of like a dye unlocking system similar to how Guild Wars 2 did it, where you unlock a dye, you can use that dye as many times as you want forever.
That would be great, especially because you lose your dice when you upgrade your armor. Right, Reckless?
Reckless on AFK, it appears.
No, I'm here. I'm
guess
sorry.
so.
Just
No worries.
I was having some net issues. What's going on?
Yeah, nothing. Just
So,
laughing at you.
Undead Ship asked, what house items should I go for early that give a good boost? A bed.
I suppose, but that's about it. I mean, the thing is you have always to go back to your house to get the buff, which in turn may be even counterproductive, since you have to go back all the time.
You can also get stuff for crafting, like a stove and various other things. So I think we're wrapping up. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and asking questions. It's going to be posted on YouTube and in the facts section of official forums.
Wait, is our community manager in the chat? Did I just miss that?
Yes, there
he's
is.
been in the chat for quite a while now.
Hello, sir, community manager.
Yeah, it's awesome that you're here. It's really cool.
That is actually really cool, indeed. Let's just hope next stream I don't need to be on my phone that disconnects me all the time.
Also, if anyone is interested in joining a guild, Friction, the guild that we're all in is recruiting. I will toss up a link to our recruitment website or webpage, and you guys can check it out.
Sure, just wait. Be fair and tell them what classes we need and what classes we're overflowing right now.
It is all on the recruitment page, but currently we have a lot of bladers, ninjas, and beastmasters. Well, we don't have that many beastmasters, but we don't need many. So
How weird.
We need
I mean,
-5 Beastmasters.
No, what I mean is like, how come that we have so many classes with the Asian traits? Huh. Nah, I'm just kidding. But it's still interesting. Yet we don't have them on release. Do something about it, Mr. Community Manager. That would be awesome.
We are looking for more rangers, though. So if you think you want to play a ranger and looking for an active PvP centered guild, take a look at the guild recruitment page, fill it out, and we hope to get back to you as quickly as possible. We always have people reading, and we have our own private Discord, and we will be in constant communication. So if you do fill it out, we appreciate your time.
Indeed.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out. Facts will be posted on the forum, and this will be posted on YouTube. And yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I guess. So, till later.
See ya.
Adios.
See you.